going to get into this evening is how to detox from glyphosate. I think this is an important topic because we're eating this stuff every day, and hopefully by the end of the first part of this talk, we're all going to have some tools on how we manage that. Medical disclaimer. So disregard professional medical advice or delay seeking medical treatment because of something you read or accessed through our website. This is called Cover My Tushy, and that's a pediatric word, and that's what I'm doing. So I want to start by toxic overload. I think if there's anyone in this room, you appreciate when the plumbing is backed up, things don't flush. Does anyone not have that model? So what's happening now is that we are in a toxic overload, and so this will not be Dr. Doom and Gloom talking all night long, because I do have positive solutions after we talk. But let's get down into it for a minute, because we're toxic. I focus on food, but we're toxic from phthalates, parabens, EMFs, solvents, etc. I want to look at food because we eat a lot. And we, like I sometimes eat all day long. And children eat 3 times the amount of body weight than grown-ups. So children even eat more food than their size. So we're consuming, so food matters, and that's where, as a pediatrician, I'm focusing my energy. I had to make a clinical decision. How much science am I going to give these people? So I decided I'm going to give you a little bit of science, and I figured you're a bright crowd. And if you look at that, that's glycine. Glycine is a non-essential amino acid, a building block of protein. Glycine is in glyphosate. When I saw that, I said, well, that's interesting. Could it be possible that glyphosate, the key ingredient in Roundup, the ubiquitous pesticide in over 750 formulations, are they swapping out? So Dr. Stephanie Seneff, she's an MIT, she's actually an engineer. She wrote a whole paper about this with another researcher, Dr. Samsel, and she feels that they're swapping out. Well, why does this matter? Well, glycine is the main amino acid in collagen. And collagen makes up your musculoskeletal system. So have you felt a child lately? See how doughy they feel? Have you felt a child? Well, feel your own child. Don't go feel any child. But go feel a kid, and you're going to see that they're doughy. And so I'm thinking, I wonder if this is going on. I read some papers yes, some papers no. I'm not sure, but I suspect this could be happening. So I want to go over with you what glyphosate does, and I'm going to break it down. I'm going to go through this list of what it actually does. And what it does, it inhibits an enzyme in plants called the shikimate pathway. And that pathway is needed to produce something called aromatic amino acids. The building blocks of proteins like tryptophan, phenylalanine, tyrosine makes up thyroid hormone. And those are the key ingredients that make up something called your neurotransmitters. Those are the chemicals that run your brain function. So what do we see now with kids? Brains don't function. Could it be an imbalance of these neurotransmitters? Yes. How do we know? Because they can't focus, number 1. And number 2, they're all over the place. And number 3, you talk to any first grade teacher, and she says kids cannot even sit on their tushies anymore. They're rounding up in their seats. Just met with my kid's first grade teacher, and I asked her, what's your classroom like these days? She said, oh my God, it's like ADHD on steroids. Oh, I know, is that right? So this is where I'm thinking. You see where I'm going with this? You think what I'm thinking? So, this was very interesting to me. Monsanto, now known as Bayer, patented it as an antibiotic, applied in 2003, received a patent in 2010. Monsanto, Bayer, knew it was an antibiotic. I went back 2 days ago and read the patent again. I read this patent several times because my sphincter's tight. I'm a little bit of like type A. So I go back and read this. There's going to be all kinds of poop jokes tonight. I'm a pediatrician. You know, my middle name is Poop. So I went back and read this. This is like a wonder antibiotic. And Monsanto wrote about that shikimate pathway in that patent. So they've known about this for a long time. What else? Glyphosate began as a metal cleaner. It's called a chelator. In 1973, when glyphosate came out, it was used for cleaning metals. And then somebody observed, like, gee, the metal's clean, and, all the weeds around the metal cleaning have died. So it's both metal cleaner and herbicide. The way it works is it binds minerals. Like which ones? Like zinc, magnesium, calcium. You need zinc and magnesium to run over 200 different reactions in your brain. They're cofactors in your brain. So when you check kids, what are they low in? Zinc, magnesium, and all these other things. Could glyphosate be binding them? Yep, they can. They suppress activity of your detoxification pathways, which this one's in the liver. Your primary detoxification is in your microbiome. And we're going to talk about the microbiome. I love bugs. Bugs in your gut. Love your bugs. That's what when you leave here, you can say, I don't know a damn thing what she said, but I'm going to love my bugs. Consumption over long term, never studied. Details of research by industry, not peer reviewed. That's a gold standard. Not done. Available to the public? Nope, not. Toxic adjuvants, those are things that are added to make glyphosate and Roundup more potent. They put in there heavy metals like arsenic. Yum. And those formulations are found, and this was a study done by Dr. Seralini, can disrupt hormones. They're endocrine disruptors, even at very low levels, like 2 parts per billion. And that's low. This idea that dose makes the poison is outdated. You can have these effects at very low doses. It can be passed on, these changes, epigenetically. 2 buzzwords in medicine now. One's the microbiome, number 2 is epigenetics. Epigenetically are little things that sit on top of your genes. Your genes don't change, but your epigenes do. And it appears that glyphosate has an effect on your epigenes that doesn't get passed on to your first generation of F1 rat pups, but the second generation. That's called a transgenerational effect. That work was done in Washington. Produced with inerts. This is my favorite word, inert. If you look down there, you'll see that there are these other ingredients, actually 60% almost. Those other ingredients are called inerts. Well, I can tell you the inerts are not inert. Most of the inerts in Roundup are something called surfactants. Surfactants are detergents. Detergents break down fat. Where do you have fat? Other than your hips. You have it on your nervous system and your brain. So it breaks down cell membranes. Glyphosate goes in and does its dirty work. That's why it's so much more toxic. These toxic formulations are way worse than the glyphosate by itself. Found where? It's found everywhere. Blood, it's found in breast milk, it's found in the air, it's found in the rain, it's found in vaccines. So we breathe it, we eat it, we absorb it, we inject it. That's what we're doing with this stuff. Yes, I know, shocking. Sick people have higher residues in their urine than healthy people. And my favorite, not best for last, but it's a carcinogen. Now I'm going to talk about this because something came out today that I'm going to share with you, hot off the press. I have analysis paralysis. I was tweaking slides as of 2 o'clock today because I just love doing that because I think, oh, one more piece of data. That's how I think. I'm a little type A, and I have too much dopamine. That's a neurotransmitter. I'm just sharing with you my own little genetic snips. But that carcinogen, whoa, wait a minute. 2015, the World Health Organization said this is a carcinogen. IARC, International Association of Research on Cancer, said that. And that's important for a little bit down the way on why that's so important. Not that. This is this slide. I just stuck this in today. This came out today. So you guys are learning stuff that is hot, hot, hot. EPA, in their incredible wisdom, said there are no risk of concern to human health when glyphosate is used in accordance with its current label. EPA also found that glyphosate is unlikely to be a human carcinogen. So we know that Mr. Dwayne Johnson, the guy from Benicia who took care of the grounds in Venetian schools, was given, I think in the final end, $78 million for his non-Hodgkin's lymphoma from spraying Roundup for a few decades. But what they also said, now this really pissed me off. Oh, I get pissed off. I'm a New Yorker, so I speak fast and I get pissed off easy. I'm working on it. I was at Spirit Rock last week. I work on this stuff, people. But let me just get a little pissed off here. Wait, hold on. The agency found no indication that children are more sensitive to glyphosate from in utero or postnatal exposure, but they didn't study it, but they could say that. They also found no risk of concern for children entering or playing on residential areas treated with glyphosate. Is that true? We are in an era of made-up caca. It's like, well, is that true? Well, I don't think so, because we at GMO Science did a report on that very topic not that long ago, and we found that Prenatal and infant pesticide exposure increases the risk for autism spectrum disorder. And you can read the study. That was of 3,000 kids from the Central Valley growing region in California. So this, and I have so many studies like this. Chamaco's been studying this issue for 19 years in the Salinas Valley. We have studies from Colombia. We have endless data. So that is a flagrant lie from the EPA. And what to do about it, I'm not sure. I mean, I could call a cousin Vinny and go torch DC. I don't know if that's going to work. But I haven't figured out how we collaboratively fix that for that egregious lie by the EPA. Now I want to talk more about the microbiome. This is an article we just wrote for GMO Science, shown by work of Dr. Michael Antoniou. He's the head of the genetics department in King's College in London. How glyphosate and Roundup disrupt the gut biome by inhibiting the shikimate pathway. That's that pathway I just told you about that produces those particular substances called neurotransmitters in your body. So this is very important because we now have definitive proof that this stuff disrupts your microbiome. And this is important because unless you're eating 100% organic, and even some organic is contaminated, you're getting glyphosate every day. And I don't know anyone, maybe Mark Squire, but the rest of us humans who eat organic all the time. I go to people's houses now and they say, oh my God, Michelle's coming, quick, hide the Doritos. No, I'm not the food police, but I don't want to eat that stuff. You just can't eat it all the time. Let's talk about the microbiome. The microbiome are the collection of organisms that mostly reside in your gut, in your large intestine. We have microbiomes everywhere. You have them on your skin, you have them on your eyes, you have them in your gynae, you have them in your bladder. You have microbiomes everywhere. As a matter of fact, you have your own personal identification cloud sitting right around you. And as I've said before, if you don't like the person next to you, or maybe you like them, it's your bugs that are communicating. Right. Isn't that interesting? So the way they communicate is they chat through a process called quorum sensing, or even more importantly, new research shows they talk by EMFs, electromagnetic frequencies. Well, why is that important? Well, the rollout of 5G is interrupting how our microbiome communicates. They work in harmony. I suspect it does. So those are the most common groups. The ones you know are bifidobacteria, lactobacillus, everyone knows that, yogurt, right? Those are groups you know. Some of these bugs, you say, wait, aren't they bad players? No, you could have some really beneficial E. coli or Clostridia, and they're in balance. Some good bacteria can become bad, and some bad can become good, but they live in a harmony, in a balance. You don't want to disrupt that balance. And what these guys do, fermentation of fiber and protein, and produce something called short-chain fatty acids. And if you don't learn anything this evening, I want you to wrap around that idea, because those short-chain fatty acids are what you need to stay healthy. As a matter of fact, it's become a hot ticket right now in the treatment of autism, using short-chain fatty acids. They give you energy for your colorectal tissues. They promote the function of your cells. They impact immune function, and they modulate inflammation. Where you get your microbiome? When you pass through mom's gynae. That's how you get it. And that gynae microbiome talks to your thymus and produces something called your innate immune system. Now, 1/3 of American births are C-section. So those babies look like the OB guy in the room. I can make so many bad jokes about that, and I'm not going to. I'm holding myself because we're being taped. But you see where that could go, right? Yeah. Okay, my people. They said, oh, yeah, all right. We'll get together at a party with a glass of wine, and I'll really let loose. Okay. Oh, microbiome. Let's get back to this. When you nurse a baby, they acquire the bugs back. If you're not nursing, you need to give the bugs in the formula. And formula companies do that now. And we're going to talk about food and baby food and formula in 2 weeks. That's a little sneak preview. I'm going to really drill down on baby stuff. Let's talk about what else they do. They make vitamins, like which ones? Vitamin K, thiamine, B12. And so without these bugs, you can't make those vitamins. Bile acid is mediated by certain bugs as well. Bile acid helps you produce and break down fats. It's stored in your gallbladder. So if you don't have the right bugs, you might not be able to break down fats well. They keep pathogens at bay, which is interesting. They produce chemicals that keep other bugs at bay, like acetate. And they have enzymatic activity. These bacterial phytases can help break down grains. So if you don't have an adequate microbiome, maybe that's why you're gluten sensitive. Remember when we first started talking about gluten sensitivity and dairy sensitivity, the eye rolling that took place? Oh, those Marin people. Oh, God. Right? Everyone's gluten sensitivity, right? Everyone is. We all have leaky gut. When you have a chronically ill kid, about 95% of them are gluten sensitive. And significantly with dairy too. Yes, this stuff is true. So, dietary fiber and probiotics are one of the best things you can do to keep your microbiome healthy. The other thing is exercise. Oh my God, diet and exercise? Really? Yes. So yes, you've paid $10 to come hear me say that do diet and exercise. But it is true. One of the best dietary fibers? Onions. Onions, yes. Garlic, onions. Onions and garlic. So let's talk about probiotics, because when you go down the store in Good Earth, you're like, oh my God. We have to ask Susan, where is she? Probiotic expert. Like, what do we do? Right? I hear this all the time. Which ones? Which probiotics? How many do I need? Which strains? It's a science. There's stuff coming out on probiotics every single day. I can barely keep up. But what they are live bugs. They're bacteria or yeast that confer health benefits on the host. That's a definition. That's what a probiotic is. Very simple. I'm a simple gal. The most commonly consumed one, lactobacilli, and babies love bifido. Bifidobacteria infantis is one of the best ones for babies. Okay, involved with immunity. They reinforce the mucosal barrier. Why am I talking about that? In your gut, you have a layer of what's called the mucosa, and these probiotics help reinforce that layer. If that layer is not reinforced, it can get leaky. It's called leaky gut. Well, what the heck is leaky gut? Well, if your gut is leaky because you don't have enough probiotics, when you eat various things, you eat food, you're taking in a whole bunch of other stuff, they can pass through the leaky gut, they get into your bloodstream, your immune system is sitting there right on the other side, sees them as a foreign invader, and mounts an immune response. That's called inflammation. If it's happening all the time, that's chronic inflammation. And if it goes unchecked too long, it can develop autoimmunity, where you attack yourself. And if it goes on longer than that, the ultimate is cancer. You see how that works? That's how simple it is. Based on that mucosal barrier, it prevents something called endotoxemia. So we want to increase that mucosal antibody production by consuming probiotics. It also affects the gut-brain barrier. You have a communication between that gut and that brain via the vagus nerve. It's called the enteric nervous system. What happens in the gut does not stay in the gut. It goes right to the brain. Gut's not happy, brain's not happy. Brain's not happy, gut's not happy. So, if you want to improve memory, aid in issues like anxiety, depression, OCD, now affecting half of American teenagers, we're now prescribing psychobiotics. We now are starting to understand which probiotics you need for which condition. For psych issues, autoimmunity, diabetes, obesity, there are different profiles, and we're starting to understand which organisms you need. That's where we're headed. If your doc is not talking about that, I would say boot them. Maybe I'll boot them. Okay, fine. Ginger, put it on the... boot them. We'll cut it out later. And you can improve chronic disease such as metabolic syndrome and obesity by modulating your probiotics and your microbiome. That's pretty cool, isn't it? That's how simple that is. Is everybody talking about psychotropics and like microdosing? Everywhere I go, all I'm hearing is about psychotropics and microdosing. And I saw that slide of organisms. I thought, maybe it looks like this. Because, you know, I'm from hippy dippy Fairfax, and now I call it hippy dippy trippy Fairfax. And so I'm thinking like, you know, but I'm a New York girl, I'm not going there. But I'm interested in it because everybody else is. I haven't read Michael Pollan's book about hippy dippy trippy, but I plan to and read all about that. So when you have these glyphosate-laden foods, you don't eat them alone. It's just not Roundup. There are about 5 or 6 other various insecticides and fungicides in that cocktail with you. And this effect of this cocktail has not been studied. And some of the fungicides are actually even more toxic than Roundup. As if Roundup's not toxic enough, some of those fungicides are more toxic. And they also have been shown to kill off the microbiome. And we don't even talk about those. So you can see the need why we need to go to organic, regenerative agriculture and get rid of these chemical inputs. So how do we get this stuff? Through the skin. The skin is a great way to get stuff in. It's a great way to get things through children. You can absorb it. I'd like to do it on the forearm or the tummy where the skin is thin, and you can absorb all kinds of stuff, and you can bypass your gut altogether. Eating foods contaminated with glyphosate, drinking water contaminated with glyphosate, and there are different labs you can use to test for it. You can test for your glyphosate. I tested mine. I was negative. I'm bragging a little bit because I'm a frequent flyer in Good Earth Fairfax. But you can look and see, not only can you test for glyphosate, you can test for the breakdown product, which is AMPA, which is as toxic as glyphosate. Great Plains does it. Health Research Institute, those are friends in Fairfield, Iowa. Test is very affordable. I think it's $99. And they were running a special, I don't know if they still are, for like 2 for 1. And this guy named Henry Rollins, he runs the Detox Project. He's been now testing hair for about $99. And anytime I can avoid a blood test in a kid, I do. Pee-pee in hair, poop, you bet. I told you poop's going to come up many times. It's a shitty conversation, I know. So now we're going to get into how we detox from glyphosate. You must lower the toxic load, period. Whether it's phthalates, parabens, solvents, pesticides, you must lower the load and just give your body a break. And so avoidance is key. And how much do you need to avoid? I don't know. How's your health? Some of us are hardy. We can tolerate more. We older people can tolerate more than the younger people. We are healthier than our children. First generation in history where older folks like me are healthier than the young people. And that's a new statistic. Yes, correct. Bone broth soup. Now, I'm going to be honest. I'm not sitting cooking this stuff up for 24 hours. But you can get bone broth soup. You can buy it. It has to be organic, because if you don't use organic bones, all the heavy metals from the animal are going to be in your soup. And there's a place that I go to Berkeley. It's called Three Stone Hearth, where I get it sometimes, but they're open like on a Tuesday night at midnight. I mean, it's Berkeley. I don't know when they're open, but if you can get there, they have great bone broth. What's in that bone broth is glycine. Glycine helps repair brains. I use it also for kids who don't eat this bone broth soup. You can give them straightforward glycine, and it's cheap. And it heals brain inflammation. It's one of the cheapest amino acids you can buy. A tub like that is $8. So if you're not going to be making your bone broth, you can eat the glycine. So, bone broth. Sulfur-rich foods. Eggs, cheese, onion, garlic. Looks like the Mediterranean diet. Glyphosate exposure deletes sulfur, and it affects the sulfate detox pathways. You have 2 phases of detoxification in your liver, phase 1 and phase 2. Sulfur is part of phase 2, and you want to keep that pathway open. You'll notice I'm going to talk mostly about food solutions tonight, because you may not find an integrative practitioner like me, or Dr. Woodard, or Dr. Kennett over there, and so you might be on your own in your kitchen. Food is medicine. Start with your diet. Before I have you buy fancy supplements for $50, why am I going to do that? Please just go buy some organic food first and see if food will heal you first. So as many of you know, I'm a homeopathic doc. Sulfur, 30C, right? Everybody's needed sulfur at some point in their lives. Sulfur is great remedy for just about everything, and it cleans up lingering infections really well. In pediatrics, we use tons of sulfur, 30C, because I suspect it's working at this detox pathway. Probiotics, fermented food. I asked my daughter, how do I ferment? I'm no Martha Stewart. Teach me how to do this. I'm from New York City. What do I know about fermenting, right? She goes, Mom, go on YouTube. I'm like, oh, okay. I went on YouTube. Oh, I learned how to ferment. It wasn't that hard. She was right. Okay, so apple cider vinegar. You can make that from apples. It's not hard. Sauerkraut from cabbage, kimchi. I'm not making kimchi. Maybe my daughter-in-law perhaps will take it on. I don't know. But kombucha. Well, I'm not making kombucha. People do. My daughter has a little SCOBY going all the time. Some cheeses, some yogurt, kefir. From a study that came out about 6 years ago, A charcoal sauerkraut juice combo and humic acid reduced glyphosate excretion in the urine and led to improved health of animals. It works. You give them apple cider vinegar, sauerkraut, and humic acid. My friend's an organic farmer in northwest Iowa. It's like a toxic soup up there in northwest Iowa. Oh my God, Iowa I think sprays the most pesticides of any state in the U.S. is Iowa, by the way. And he says yes, the farmers say yes, here's some data. We at GMO Science, myself in our work, everything we say we cite, because otherwise we will be skewered by various companies. You know who they are. We will be scientifically skewered. What Mark said is absolutely correct. So you're not going to hear me say anything without a citation or a scientific backup. That's Sandor Katz. Sándor, he's Hungarian, obviously. You're not, well, I'm married to Hungarian, so that gives me Hungarian ability to say the first, 10 curse words that I know. But Sándor, he runs a fermentation school in Tennessee. How cool is that? That's really cool. I want to go. So if you want to take up a collection and send me to Tennessee to go learn from men, I'm accepting donations. No, but we should all go there. There's a little I think it's a little podcast that was very good. There's one of his books. He has other books, just so you two can learn how to do this. For those of you who don't want to watch YouTube, just saying. Manganese. Glyphosate loves manganese. It binds it up. Yes. Manganese is needed for mitochondrial function, gut health, and cognition. You need manganese. Where do you get manganese? There are lots of manganese-rich foods. What I find interesting is you want to eat these foods organic, like the berries, like spinach, like legumes. You want to eat those organic. They absorb up a lot of pesticides. So manganese-rich diets. Plant extracts. You can use a lot of plant extracts for detoxification, like dandelion. Look at that. Barberry. I don't know if I would know what barberry is unless it hit me. I had to Google it and like, oh, that's what it looks like. Okay. And burdock. And so I personally go buy it. Some of you, like Gina, I see you out there. Gina is probably making it. You're taking notes. So some people have that ability, and some of us take out the credit card. There's room for all of us. That's how we do that. So what I do is I have this on my desk. It's a product called Detox. It is a homeopathic made by Savine Pharma. These are the remedies, the herbs, homeopathically, in that Detox, taraxacum, Ardium lapa, burdock, berberis, and Chilodonium majus. And for all of us homeopathic people, we know that last remedy is great for liver. These are all great liver remedies. Who studied this? Gilles Seralini, the guy who studied all about the tumors and glyphosate and Roundup. He decided to produce this homeopathically because it was harder to get these things out through herbs. That was interesting. But I've taken this. It works great. So if I'm going out for a meal that's questionable, I pop a few of these before I go out, this homeopathic remedy. And it's about 20-something bucks for 3 vials of the remedy. Not so bad. They last a while. And that's been studied. What do? I like to eat out. I know you like to eat out. Are we going to eat this reused oil that's likely GMO oil, soya canola that's been extracted with hexane, which is a toxin and a carcinogen? My son says, I can bash him, he's not here. Is Jesse here? Oh no, good. My son says, Mom, I practice the 80-20 rule. I eat really good 80% of the time. I said, now for some of us, we can do the 80-20 rule. Some of us need to do the 90-10. And some of you might be doing the 50-50 rule. But eating out can be problematic. I know. And when I go out to eat, I go visit Mark Squire right there in Good Earth. That's where I don't even want to eat anywhere these days. I know. I'm getting a little bit like that. A little bit neurotic OCD about where I'm eating. I'm messing out with my girlfriends. But other than that, I'm just a little careful. What is our eating behavior like? Well, let's take a look at our data. I like data. Are you data people? Yeah, we like data. Eating home, we're doing it more. 6 in 10 ate dinner out at least once a week. 16% ate out 3 or more times a week. Age and incomes are factors. And what I found interesting, in 2017, average household yearly expenditure for food was $7,729. 44% spent on eating out. That's a lot of your annual budget. Is it because we're watching Netflix? Uber, right? Some people are not leaving their houses. They're on Netflix or Uber Eats. I was in China recently, and I saw more food takeout and delivery than I could possibly imagine. But we know eating home costs, quality of food. You can make food for the lunchbox for yourself or the kids. Absolutely. You can make it with friends. You're all gluten and dairy sensitive. Well, you can make those dairy, gluten-free meals together. How cozy is that? And you can model the good behavior. Get those boys in the kitchen. Boys love knives. Get them chopping. Mom is not in the kitchen anymore. Everybody in the kitchen. Right, Ja?
Yes.
Thank you. So I want to talk about this little metal chelator thing a little bit, because I want most of you not most of you, some of you are white hairs like me. Well, I'm sort of white hair. But what I'm worried about is something else. I'm worried about everything I spoke to. I'm a pediatrician. I'm worried about kids. But, kids grow up to be sick adults. Aluminum. I want to talk a little bit about aluminum. And I'll show you why in a second. It's in foods, right? We all know that. Looking at that baking powder, flour, salt, baby formula coming up, coffee creamers, etc. It's in drugs, antacids, analgesics, etc. It's in vaccines. It's the adjuvant in vaccines. Hep A, Hep B, DTaP, etc. Cosmetics. We know the classic one is a deodorant, alum, lotion, sunscreen. Aluminum products, including foil, cans. I see all the moms with those juice pouches, right? You've seen those juice pouches? Why? I don't know what's with the juice pouch. Tins, water bottles. I got this from Mercola. I like Dr. Mercola. He researches his stuff. His stuff is well cited because I go back and I check his references. Oh yeah, I'm that person. I said, where is he getting his stuff? He must have a team of 20 people. I want a team of 20 people. Looking at my data. Maybe if you know anybody want to research for me? So look at this. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Aluminum and glyphosate. There are 6 different ways 2 glyphosate molecules can chelate aluminum. So glyphosate can chelate the aluminum. You have a leaky brain just like your leaky gut. It transports the aluminum across your blood-brain barrier, and that is one of the key things with Alzheimer's, is aluminum in the brain. We've known this for a long time, by the way, and it's in medical products, Gelusil. The antacids have aluminum. Aluminum toxicity in Alzheimer's, that's aluminum in neurofibrillary tangles of the brain. It's in Alzheimer's, breast cancer, and vaccine adjuvants. And I pulled it out. This is not the Journal of Juju Medicine. This is a real journal. I love Journal of Juju Medicine, but these are real scientific journals, and this is one thing that makes me concerned. Alzheimer brain, normal brain. I'm a pediatrician, but I'm also worried about the parents' health. Younger and younger people getting Alzheimer's on the rise. It's hard to avoid aluminum. It's very difficult. So how do we get rid of aluminum? Silica. Silica-rich cilantro. It doesn't taste like soap to me. Also known as Chinese parsley. I eat that stuff every day and chop the stems in there also. Put it on your eggs, put it in your veggies, put it in your smoothie, because the silica-rich cilantro binds aluminum. That's why. And it tastes good. And you put that with a little lime. You could even put it in make your little mojito with a little cilantro. Well, wait a minute. We can do Mark. How are we doing afterwards? Little cilantro mojitos. And air pollution is one of the biggest toxins for kids. Is air pollution. Even more than food is actually air pollution. Broccoli sprouts. Can you imagine? Cruciferous veggies contain glucoraphanin, and I could hardly ever pronounce that. Sulforaphane is released when it's chewed, and that activates enzymes, flushing pollutants into the urine. Broccoli sprouts. I don't usually eat the sprouts. Anyone here eat broccoli sprouts? A few of you hardcore people. I need to eat more broccoli sprouts. Mark, do we even have Good Earth has broccoli sprouts?
We have at times. I don't know if we have them currently.
We have the seeds if you'd like to do your own.
Oh, yeah, do your own again. Yeah, okay. All right. Okay, Gina. Thank you, Gina. Okay. Right, she's on it. Thank you. It's just a moment of levity. Yes. Sick is the new normal. It's kind of funny. Ha-ha, kind of, sort of. I don't know. So I have people who've told me, but Dr. Michelle, you said eat organic. I eat all organic, and I still have IBS or IBD, so what's going on with my gut? Well, they forget about the drinking. Oh, you're drinking a couple beers every single night. Well, the Germans were not too happy when in 2014 or 2016, they found out all 14 German beers all had glyphosate. And that glyphosate, yes, now people go, wow, it's Super Bowl. You gotta be kidding me. Oh, I love to shake people up with the beer. It always gets them. But wait, beer producers are upset because that glyphosate is interfering with the yeast that produces the beer. And you wine drinkers, wine drinkers, all inorganic wine's contaminated with glyphosate. You must buy organic wine. Even organic wine has some glyphosate, but not as much as inorganic. You've got two vineyards side by side. One's organic, one's not. That glyphosate is going to get right into the soil, and it's going to contaminate the organic vineyard. There's no way it's not. But you're still better off drinking organic wine. That's my dose of resveratrol. Yes, it's medicinal wine. Hey, I'm Italian. And now to my next favorite topic, the school lunch. I'm telling you, other countries are not feeding their children this. But it's all not doom and gloom because Gavin Newsom just came out with this, and I'm going to show you what he came out with. A new budget which boosts healthy food for kids and markets for farmers. He proposes $80 million. It's about time. We haven't boosted this in about 10 years. And we're serving 3.5 million kids in our state of California. Some of those kids eat 2 or 3 meals at school. A lot of local folks were involved with this, including another Mill Valley icon, Judy Shills in Conscious Kitchen. She was involved in this project where she's trying to bring, and her group, Debbie Freeman, etc., organic food to kids' schools. So this, I don't know if it was Gavin's wife, Jennifer. They do have 4 children. So maybe she was worried about it too, but it's a good thing for California children. This is over at Martin Luther King School, right in Sausalito. And this is where Conscious Kitchen started. I love their moniker, fresh, local, organic, seasonal, non-GMO. Does organic food really matter? Well, the Nutrient Santé study looked at 70,000 people. It's higher now. And the people who ate organic food have reduced their cancer rate by 25%. And that's a big number of study participants. Now, this was a survey, but the number increases the power of the study. When I look at a study, I have to look at number of people, what they studied, and who supported it. Who supported the study. That's probably the first thing I looked at when I look at a study. So, there's this. This is how I feel most days. You need an app to go food shopping on your phone now, or a PhD, so you can read the labels. Or what can we do? I think we got the organic message. Filtered water, it's not just Flint, Michigan, Newark, New Jersey. How about some of the schools right here in Marin County? Avoidance of yucky stuff. Shoes off at the door. My house, they're not having it, but other houses where people are normal, maybe you can do this. Sprouts, veggies, boiled brown soup, apple cider vinegar. Drink some in your water. Lemon in your water bottle. It's a great alkalinizer. So I just wanted to introduce one more video. And before I do that, I wrote this book with another Mill Valley denizen, Dr. Vincent Adams, who is a medical anthropologist at UCSF. We wrote this book 2 years ago. There's a copy here or 2 if you want to buy it. It's about my patients who I took care of with a look at food, industrial food, and pesticides. So we made this video for GMO Science a couple years ago.
That there were no health risks to smoking. With deep pockets and pseudoscience, they controlled the message. It took far too long to make progress, and we lost hundreds of thousands of lives in the process. Imagine if we had access to all the facts then that we do now. We have that critical opportunity right now with GMOs. Genetically engineered food is on the rise in the U.S., with the majority of our largest crops all being GMO. Even the friendly apple is being modified. Much of the research on safety risks is biased because it's often funded by big ag. Just like tobacco, the agrochemical industry has spent a lot of money to convince you that GMOs are safe and has intimidated or silenced nearly anyone that disagrees. So what's been missing? Access to credible, unbiased science that proves it is possible to feed the world in a healthy, sustainable way. This is our chance to gain scalable impact at a rapid pace and put an end to the negative effects that GMOs have on wildlife, soil, and our water supplies, including the dramatic increase in pesticides and herbicides over the last 20 years, herbicides that are proven to cause cancer. GMO Science is a network for science-based information about the impacts of genetically engineered food on human health and ecology. We're an organization founded by doctors and scientists that's relentless in the pursuit of unbiased truth. We make sure that key scientific information that's been difficult to access is made freely available to all. Our work reports on the most up-to-date methods of research that reflect the current science, sheds light on the often overlooked variables that cause disease, and creates a community that's safe for scientists and researchers to do their work. Let's regain control of this critical message in a fair and balanced way so that good science wins. Join us now.